Hey everyone, it's Theo from Spectrum Gardening. So far we've shown you the front yard and both the east and the west. But now we're going to take you on a tour of the backyard. So before we actually go down, we've recorded a small clip just kind of showing you the whole yard from the top. And then after the clip is going to be attached to the video where you're going to see an actual tour of the front yard. So let's go take a look. As you can see, our backyard goes back pretty deep, but currently not much of it is usable. So one of our big tasks is going to be soon is to clear out most of the plants and kind of shape them the way that they want. It definitely feels like a jungle walking through the backyard right now. This would be the entrance from the west side, and as you come in, you're immediately greeted by a plant that hasn't been really maintained or trimmed or anything like that, and there's a hard path over here. Throughout the tour you may see tags like this yellow tag on plants. These are the ones we'll be saving, and these are the ones that we'll be trimming back and either taking up and replanting or just keeping in the same spot. And as we go over here, you can see that's the path that it came out from over there. And here's a hydrangea that's seen better days. And we've got a pond. I'm not sure if they have a pump in it or anything like that right now, but it is. It was one of the features we were looking at when we were buying a house. And then you can see that there's just plants kind of everywhere right now. So our septic field actually comes out from over there where that hole is and goes right back, and we're going to go back there in a little bit. But we're lucky, since it's 3 feet down, we can actually put our raised beds and we can put like shallow rooted plants on top of it without a problem. And we've got a feature fireplace over there that we will be repurposing and reusing for obviously a fireplace, but we're going to be cleaning it up and kind of just making it more of a comfortable sitting area. And then we've got more plants all along here. You can see that this grass area is pretty much the only usable part of our backyard. And we've got a mature apple tree here. Lots and lots of apples on it this year. I haven't had a chance too much to pick from them yet, just with everything that's going on. But before we do up the backyard, we're going to come out and just kind of pick the bush clean, just to kind of prevent from bears and wildlife coming in. And as we work our way over here, you can see that there's a beautiful hydrangea here. And this hydrangea has actually been blooming since we viewed the house back in May. And there's actually 2 of them. There's 2 root systems. Actually, there's a few of them now that I see look closer. So what we're going to do, we're going to be cutting one totally out, and then we're going to be shaping the bush, because right now there's no pathway over on the other side, kind of where the septic is, and there's no pathway kind of in between. So if we come this way, you can again see that the hydrangea has kind of overtaken the path right here, and it just needs to be shaped. It'll be beautiful if we shape it properly. And then we have some common hops here that I would ideally like to climb up on this arbor system. And we have this plant that I can't pronounce, but my lovely wife is going to help me with it.
Magnolia.
It's a magnolia. I always want to say Mongolia, but that's not right, right? So we're having a huge debate whether to take it out or to keep it. For now,
You're gonna keep
Svetlana says we're going to keep it, hence the yellow tag on it. And then maybe we'll see later on. So now we're going to start going through the pathways that the previous owner had in mind when they were first planting this garden. And you can tell right here, here's another hydrangea. We've lost count of how many hydrangeas and how many clematises are actually in this yard. So now, let's go explore the jungle. This is one pathway through here. And you can see how little light is actually back here right now, because there's shrubs over there and the cedars here. The cedars we will be trimming up a little bit, I've spoken to our neighbor, and she's given me the okay to trim it right back to the stem, just so we don't have like stubs sticking this much on the tree. Just, they'll look silly, right? So we can, as we go through here, you can see some of these trees were buried under the other brush that was planted in front of them. And then we're getting to where the apple tree was. This is not the apple tree, but the apple tree's right there. And you can see it's just kind of overgrown and not kind of maintained at all. And there's so many plants like this that have struggled for light and struggled with all these other big trees and big things around them, that they're just kind of pretty much half dead or just kind of clinging onto life right now. So we've got some lilac suckers over here, some water shoots. The other side, when we go over there, you can see the whole fence is going to be just, there's been rows of lilacs there. And then this is one type of willow, and then you come back here, you can see there's a huge cedar here. So these branches again are going to be trimmed right back just so we can use the yard a little bit more. And you can see the previous owner used this corner as a dumping for all her brush and everything like that. So if we go over here, you can see that I'm just walking over ivy. I'm walking over old pots that are kind of forgotten about. And the problem right now is the apples are attracting rats. And the rats are coming back and they're just loving all this low growing ivy. So we're going to be getting Bobcat come in and just basically scoop the top layer off, and then we can kind of get right on top of the ivy problem. I know doing it by hand, it's going to do a more diligent job, but for me to hand weed all this, it would be unreal. So I'm happy to pay for an excavator, and that's going to save me years of doing it. I will have to go back and kind of watch it myself in the next few years, but it will make the job a heck of a lot easier. And then we've got a huge rhododendron right here, and you can see how big that is, but you can see how much it struggled being covered by these big trees and everything. So we're going to cut it right back, and we're going to cut some of the trees right back just to let more light in this area. So we have a structure over here that you can see the previous owner, and she had a great idea of kind of what to do, a great idea of the theory of it. We'll show you another one that she had a bench in front of it. She was, I believe her daughter was into permaculture, but what happened is she didn't maintain anything. She kind of let it all go wild. So like you can see, I'm just tripping over plants, I'm tripping over brush right here. So over here we have a yucca, and as much as I would like to dig that out, it's probably going to be there forever. The Bobcat will probably come in, scoop it, but it's going to come right back. And to be honest, I'd be happy just to shape everything around it, just to kind of save us the problem. So we have a plum tree here that's gotten way out of hand. It's over the pond. It's coming out over here. It dropped all the plums basically in the pond, and it made putrid water. Like, I mean, fermenting. Like, the smell was pretty nasty. So that's a big thing on our list that we're going to cut back, and we're going to kind of shape it better, just so we can prevent that. And then we've got more rhododendrons here. And you know what? This is something I want to show you. This is the clematis over here. Believe it or not, look how big that is. If I didn't actually look at the leaves here, I wouldn't have believed that's a clematis, because you can see a different growth coming out of it right here. So you can just see how much things were struggling back here to actually live and survive. So this will be a rhododendron that we're keeping, and you can see the whole bottom is just covered by ferns and everything. It makes a great kind of forest floor, but for a city, I would say, want to say city, but we're not really in the city. But for a house lot like this, for the pests and things like that, it's just not ideal. We're going to keep going over here, and there's a path over here that we're going to go over, and we're going to show you. Watch out for the spider web. So more rhododendrons. There's periwinkle all over the place, same with ivy. So we're behind the pond right now. And you can see behind the pond is there's various different roses. She's planted clematis here and things like that. So we're gonna clean up the wood. We're gonna just kind of shape it even more. So this is a cherry tree. And unfortunately it's so tall and so far gone, we will be cutting it down just to let more light in. And to be honest, to pick those cherries, we're gonna basically need a cherry picker. And yeah, that's not something we're gonna be doing. So this is a cherry tree, and this is a cherry tree here. And you can see the ivy's attached itself to everything. And it's just a matter of time that it's gonna just take down the trees. It's just gonna strangle them to death. Oh. So as you can find an example of like this yard is a wilderness. It's branches laying everywhere. It's dead boxwoods back there along the fence line. Great idea for privacy if they were topped and if they bushed out. They were planted and again just kind of left. And we're going to go through here. And we're beside a cedar, and then right beside the cedar is a holly. And we're going to show you the stems in a minute, but as much as we would like to keep the holly, if you take a look at, let's say, this one right here, you can see it's covered in scale, those white things. And if you flip over the leaf, you can see the scale there, scale here. And the reason, what's happening is as the scales, it's leaving a black film, so it'll eventually kill the plant. So we're going to take down the holly because I just don't want to deal with treating scale on hollies this big. And I'll show you how big they are. If you come over here.
Is this a birch?
No, that's an alder.
Oh yeah.
So you can see these are the hollies right here. There's several shoots. And again, you can tell the previous owner was just using this as kind of a dumping zone for their firewood, for whatever. So this will be coming. We'll get the bobcat to come in and scoop this up and either put the soil, like kind of fill in some holes with it, or just kind of get rid of it all in total. Just to kind of level out the whole yard. And like we're back here and there's no sun in this corner. It's absolutely darkness. So you can imagine once we clear out the trees and trim up the branches, how much more light this yard's gonna get. So there's pathways kind of all throughout the whole yard and kind of in different places. So now we're going to go check out the lilacs, the row of lilacs. So this is another apple tree here. And beside it, there should be another one, right, not beside it, behind us. That skinny one that's leaning. All the fruit trees are kind of leaning in this yard. It's just the way they are. So you can see it definitely feels like a jungle. There was bamboo planted here before, and that's also another reason that we were wanting to get a bobcat or a mini excavator in, just to scoop that up, just because the root system on them is so extensive, like this one right here. Digging it by hand would be unreal. So this is a lilac right here that we're going to be keeping, and all down the fence line there's lilacs all along here. Spelona really likes lilacs, and we actually had to leave ours at our old house just because it was so big we couldn't take it with us. So it was nice that this whole side was covered in lilacs. And you can see how narrow the paths have gotten over time. When these shrubs were planted originally, they would have it would have been a bigger path. It would have been nice to get around them, but they're so big now they're blocking all the light in here. And they're just kind of overgrown that it's not really accessible. This one is kind of neat though. Well, I say kind of, because if you take a look at it, it's a variegated ivy. But you can see it's like over time, it's gonna be killing this tree. So I'll take my Sawzall and I'll cut all around the bottom to cut off where it is after we've scooped it out. And then hopefully pulling it off will just be that much easier. And then we have an oak leaf hydrangea here. As I said earlier, we've lost count of how many different hydrangeas are on this property. It's hydrangea clematis heaven basically. And you can see we've got another shoot of lilac right beside the one with a variegated ivy on it. We have a Diablo 9 bark here. There's lots of doubles of plants through this yard. But take a look at how big this trunk system is. Like, this is a mature plant right here. I actually have a friend that's going to be bringing his little mini Kabuto over, and he's going to dig this out after I've trimmed it right back, just to make transportation a little bit easier and to make it help it survive over transplanting.
Don't forget this everywhere too.
And there's cedar. Like, if you take a look over here, there's cedars planted just in strange spots. What happened is, what we figured is that she was going for a quick fix. She planted something small and then planted something else beside it, just so it kind of looked nice at the time. But what wasn't anticipated is how much they grow and what they're going to look like when they're fully mature. So again, if you can take anything away from this video, anticipate what your plants are going to look like when they're fully mature and when they've reached their maturity width and height, and plan accordingly to that, or to trim them to the space that you have available. So you can see more lilacs along the side of the fence there, more here, and then this was the other wooden structure that this over here was the other wooden structure that I was talking about. When we viewed it, she had a bench in front of it, and there was another branch going along here. So what's probably going to happen, unfortunately, is when we bring the bobcat in, we will have to remove it. But when I prune the apple trees and the plum tree, I'll take more branches and I'll just kind of recreate it that way. And we'll take our garden bench and we'll kind of put it there. Our daughter, she loved the garden bench. She said there was fairies in the garden when she viewed it. So after it's all said and done, we will be putting it back together for her. But you can see the wood is just so rotten on it, and it's just the way, it's just not feasible to save this, but we will recreate it. So it's definitely interesting going through the whole yard. One, because of the sheer number of plants, and two, you kind of feel like you have to have a machete to cut your way through the jungle. So again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the videos. And if you have any questions or comments about the yard or anything that we've mentioned in the video, don't forget to throw them down in the section below.